Hello, Catamounts. My name is Alexander Hoffman, and this is Chats with Cats presented by WeTV. In this series, we've been interviewing some of our amazing student athletes here at Western Carolina University. Today's guest, returning for her second interview, is Becka Wonsick of our softball team. How are you, Becca?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So we'll go ahead and jump right into this. Go ahead and please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your place on the softball team.
So I'm Becka Wonsick. I am an outfielder for the softball team. I'm a sophomore, and I'm an integrated health science major with a concentration in physical therapy, along with an entrepreneurship major and minor in psychology.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get more into that academic stuff later, too.
Yes.
But if you don't mind, could you share a memorable moment from your athletics career here at Western?
Yeah. So last year, Tennessee actually came to our home field, and we got to play them, and it was just an awesome experience for me as a freshman. The atmosphere, there was just so many of our supporters there, and it was just awesome. So it's probably my top memory.
One of those big schools coming and playing on our field is always huge and exciting. I remember I saw some of the pictures from that of it being very crowded.
Yes.
I think we do need a bigger softball complex just after that.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you stay motivated during both the busiest stretches of softball in the spring and the not so busy parts in the fall?
I think for me, obviously I want to win a SoCon, and I know my teammates do. So having that accountability from my teammates and my coaches, and then also like myself, I just want to work the hardest I can and get 1% better every day. That's kind of like what we talk about. So yeah, I just want to be better for everyone.
Yeah, I think that 1% better is a really good way to look at it too. And you did mention your teammates, and as you know from last year, our student athletes like to talk about the family feel within the teams a lot, especially with a fairly small softball roster. So I did want to hear your take on that family feel.
Yeah, so me and my teammates were all super close. Like, they're literally my sisters and my best friends. I wouldn't want to be playing here with anyone else. We just love each other, and you can tell. Yeah, so it's really easy to play with them, and just because I love them. So yeah.
Yeah, and that is something that I kind of think ends up being common around a lot of our athletics, not just necessarily in softball, but I know with that smaller roster, that definitely would happen as well. But we are going to kind of change gears because, as you know, these interviews are a lot more than just you as a student athlete. It's you as a student and a person. So you did mention what you're studying, but if you don't mind, go ahead and let us know again what you're studying and what made you choose those majors.
Yeah, so I'm an integrated health science major with pre-concentration in physical therapy and also entrepreneurship. So being an athlete, obviously, I've gone through many injuries, and so I've had to go through that recovery process with the physical therapist, and I just love like the connection I made with them, and I just want to be that for athletes in the future and potentially run my own physical therapy business. So that's where that entrepreneurship comes in. And then I really just enjoy psychology and understanding like how we think and stuff. So yeah.
I do think that psychology is an interesting one that I maybe didn't expect. A lot of student athletes are like really interested in that psychology side, and I think it also does make sense after actually talking to student athletes about it, because there's a lot of complexity behind like everything going on the field and of course off the field and all of that. So, yeah, for sure. How do you manage your time between academics and athletics?
So I'm a list person, so I have a little iPad and I make my to-do list every day, and I just try to stay organized with that and just carve out time for my homework. And then obviously we have practice and time for extra work, and just planning out my days, how I really do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of organization required, especially I imagine in the spring when it starts being go.
Yes.
All the time. But as a student athlete, not only is there a lot to consider physically, but there's also definitely a huge mental aspect, like I mentioned with you talking about your psychology minor as well. So I did want to kind of briefly dive into that aspect and hear your take on mental health as a student athlete.
Yeah, so little backstory. Last year was probably like the hardest year for me mentally, just being a freshman And I just felt all the pressure in the world, like, of having to perform for my teammates, for my coaches, for my parents, just for everyone. And, like, we, like, can't do that. Like, we can't put that pressure on ourselves. So for me, I just really had to, like, rely on God for that, because I was putting my worth in, like, softball and not in him, and that was affecting my mental health. And so for me, I just really have to rely on my creator and, like, the person who created me for a purpose, and knowing that, like, my purpose isn't just softball. Like, I am a person too. You kind of touched on that, and so I love that. And yeah, and my teammates and my coaches supported me a lot last year and helped me get to where I am now. They kind of talked about, like trusting in my abilities. Like, I'm here for a reason. They trusted me, so just knowing that. But yeah, mental health in athletics is super important to me, and I'm a big advocate for that.
Yeah, and that's really good to hear. And I think a lot of student athletes and athletes in general turn to faith and whatever that may look like for that student athlete, but also just having that support system is super important.
For sure.
There's support not only like within the team, but there's also Western has support resources and like the academic advisors for athletics and all of that. So it is good how big of a support network, even for a kind of smaller school, we have. But how has being a student athlete overall shaped your college experience?
I would say it has made it so much better. Like, just coming in and having, like, my teammates there help me adapt, like, so much easier, I feel like, than just being a regular college student. Nothing against that, but it's just nice to have that built-in community already. And then, obviously, that athletic community here is big, so I have other friends, not only just in college, but also in college athletics too.
Yeah, and I think that built-in family is something that, like, across athletics and band is something that you see a lot. And like you said, it's nothing like against other students or anything. It's just, it's an extra thing that you all get and honestly kind of deserve with how much more you're doing a lot of the time, in terms of like that extra mental and pressure and all that. But yeah, we are going to move into our lightning round, though, new from the last time you were on. So 4 short little questions with some short little answers. So what has been your favorite class at Western so far?
So sports nutrition, love it. It's just super interesting.
Shout out sports nutrition.
Yeah.
Do you have any pregame rituals or superstitions?
My team and I, we pray. I really just take a moment and just kind of relax before we hit the field. So yeah.
Super important before a game. What is your favorite sport to watch and favorite non-WCU team?
Obviously softball. I love watching softball. I also like baseball. And then the Ohio State University. I just won the national championship. So yeah, love them. Shout
out to Ohio State.
Yeah.
And what is your favorite post-game meal?
Probably like a grilled chicken sandwich. I love that. Just an easy go-to. Or a steak if I'm feeling crazy, but yeah.
Very different than our normal answer for a post-game meal, which is LPAT, even though I don't I've heard it a single time yet this semester. Yeah. Last semester, that's like all we heard, basically.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a difference from fall to spring. I'm not sure what that's all about. But our very last question kind of ties everything together. What is the best advice you received as a student athlete and kind of intern? What advice would you give to incoming student athletes?
So my biggest advice is be where your feet are. Don't worry about the past or the future. Just be present. Be grateful for where you are. Don't worry about your failures or worry about making a mistake, because I kind of talked about that. That's all I did freshman year, and it was not good. But now I'm kind of focusing on just being where my feet are and trusting in my plan. Yeah.
Good advice to any incoming student athletes. Yes. Be where your feet are. But that is going to kind of close us out for the interview. Thank you for coming on a second time. And we will see you next time, and go Cats.